Yeah, it was quite a performance by the CEO of Google, and he's not lacking in confidence, is he? As he sits before the Congress of the United States and spins up his perspective.
Well, remember, there's here's why it's significant. 3.5 billion searches done a day. The vast majority of those are done on Google's platform. And if there is this bias, that's why this is important. That's why this matters. And when you have the head of multicultural marketing at Google saying, we're trying to impact the election, get out the Latino vote, pay for rights to the polls in key states, in competitive states, that means something. That's why we had this hearing, and that's why you've been talking about it, others have been talking about it. That's why it's so important.
I'll just cut to the chase. Big tech's out to get conservatives. That's not a suspicion. That's not a hunch. That's a fact. July 20th, 2020, Google removes the homepages of Breitbart and the Daily Caller. Just last night, we learned Google has censored Breitbart so much traffic has declined 99%. June 16th, 2020, Google threatens to demonetize and ban the Federalist. April 19th, 2020, Google and YouTube announce a policy censoring the content that conflicts with recommendations of the World Health Organization. Now think about that. The World Health Organization, the organization that lied to us, the organization that shilled for China. And if you contradict something they say, they can say whatever they want. They can lie for China. They can shill for China. You say something against them, you get censored. The power these companies have to impact what happens during an election, what American citizens get to see prior to their voting is pretty darn important. That's why this committee hearing is important. Look, we all think the free market's great. We think competition's great. We love the fact that these are American companies. But what's not great is censoring people, censoring conservatives, and trying to impact elections. And if it doesn't end, there has to be consequences. There have to be consequences. That's what I'm concerned about, and I think what so many Americans are concerned about. So I look forward to hearing from our witnesses, Mr. Chairman. Can you assure Americans today you won't tailor your features to help Joe Biden in the upcoming election?
We support work that campaigns do. I just want to make sure I
understand that. We all do all kinds of online, social media, all kinds of that outreach, that communication. What they can't do is configure your features to help one candidate over the other. So you might not have found any evidence, but here's what she wrote to the email to a number of key executives in your company. Quote, we push to get out the Latino vote with our features. Second quote, we push to get out the Latino vote with our features in key states. Seems to me those last three words are the real qualifier here. That's electioneering when you're trying to increase the Latino vote in key states. And she'd already communicated that she was supporting Clinton, that she wanted Clinton to win. So when she talks about increasing the Latino vote, which she assumed was going to help candidate Clinton, and she's doing that in key states. It's one thing if you're going to increase the Latino vote around the country. If you're just a good corporate citizen, you're urging people to vote. It's quite another when you're focusing on in key states. And you know what those key states were? Nevada and Florida, the swing states. So again, I want to make sure this isn't going to happen in 2020.
I can assure you that we complied with laws in 2016. As a company, any work we do around elections is nonpartisan. Users do come to us for understanding where polling places are, where to vote, which is the date to vote, what the voting hours are. We are committed to providing that information, and I can assure you that we will approach our work.
So Mr. Pichai, here's the question I think is on so many Americans' minds. They saw the list that we read here earlier on in our opening statements, all the things Google has done. Google is siding with the World Health Organization over anyone who disagrees with them, even though the World Health Organization obviously lied to America, obviously shills for China. Google's siding with them. YouTube is siding with them. We have the history of all the things Google has done and the history of what happened in 2016 in the election where they obviously, according to one of your multicultural marketing executive, tried to help Clinton. And here we are 97 days before the election, and we want to make sure it's not going to happen again. We want to can you give us two assurances? One, you're not going to try to tailor your features, configure your platform in a way to help Joe Biden. And second, that you're not going to use your search engine to silence conservatives. Can you give us those two assurances today?
Congressman, on our search engine, conservatives have more access to information than ever before.
And we appreciate that. That wasn't the question. Can you assure us today you're not going to try to silence conservatives? And can you assure us today you're not going to try to configure your features as Ms. Murillo said you did for Clinton in 2016? Can you assure us today you're not going to do the same thing for Joe Biden in 2020?
you have my commitment. It's always been true, and we'll continue to conduct ourselves in a neutral way.
There today, he's the highest-ranking Republican on the committee. He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on.
You bet, Tucker.
So
Good to
you
be with you.
tweeted today a tweet that was heartening, I think, to a lot of people. You said, "Big tech's out to get conservatives." Clearly true. It's time they face the consequences.
Right.
So to the many frustrated viewers out there who don't think Republicans have forced them to face any consequences for the past 4 years, tell us specifically, if you would, what those consequences are going to be.
Well, you got to change. You got to work on Section 230. We're looking at that right now. You may have to. The Justice Department is looking at current antitrust law to go after these companies right now. And frankly, we may have to change the law. And we also have to continue to do what you've been doing. And thank you for doing that. Calling them out every time we see the bias, every time we see them become the facilitators of the mob to cancel people. We have to continue to call them out. Remember, Tucker, Twitter went after me 2 years ago. I've been talking about this for a couple years. They shadow banned 4 members of Congress, 435 in the House, 100 in the Senate. Only 4, Gates, Meadows, Nunes, Jordan, get shadow banned by Twitter. And of course, they just told us it was just a glitch. Are you? I said, well, what'd you put in the algorithm? The names Gates, Meadows, Nunes, Jordan. I think I said that on your show. So
no, you did, and of course we agreed. But I'm a talk show host, and we've got 4 million viewers or whatever. But my job is to talk. Lawmakers are tasked with running the country and passing our laws by definition.
Right.
And these companies operate with a special carve-out provided them by Congress, and Congress has never done anything to rein them in. And so we've got, 96 days till the election. Are there going to be any consequences until then?
Well, no, you just mentioned the most important thing. In 96 days, 97 days, whatever that number is, it's important we reelect Donald Trump and take back the House. Because do you think Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Jerry Nadler are going to fix this? Do you think they're actually going to stop big tech from attacking conservatives and censoring conservatives?
No, they're
I
not.
don't think so. So that's why the most important, Republicans aren't in control. We're working on the Senate, working with the Senate on this 230 issue. We're looking at every remedy we can because there has to be a remedy for what they're doing to conservatives. But the most important thing is to take back the House and make sure Donald Trump is reelected. Donald Trump's in the right position.
It seems very difficult for any candidate or party to win anything if all the information about the race is controlled by people who are working for the other side, which is where we are now. So without whining about why nothing has been done so far, let me ask you. Jim Sensenbrenner's taken money from Google. Google is your second biggest campaign contributor in the last cycle. Why do you think they would give you money? And why would you take it?
If they want to exercise their First Amendment liberties and give me money, I raised $3 million last quarter. If Google gives me a few $1,000 check, God bless them. That doesn't change who I am. You saw that today in the committee. I went after him for the very issue you just raised, Tucker. In 2016, Google tried to tailor their features to help Clinton in key states. That's directly from the email, the head of their multicultural marketing section.
Oh, I get it. I mean, I'm a talk show host. We talk about this stuff all the time, but where's the part where we say we're yanking your liability exemption, the one that we don't have at Fox News, but they somehow have, where they can't be sued for garbage on their site? And so, where's the effort to do that? I'm frustrated. I think a lot of our viewers are frustrated. I'd just like to know, when's that going to happen?
We're working on it right now with folks in the Senate. Josh Hawley is working on that. Our staff is working with Senate staff on that issue. What's the